Welcome to the Dipshit Files here on the SKATCAST Network. This is episode 26. I am Mr. Script Keeper.
And I'm Mrs. Script Keeper.
And yay, we've got another fucking dipshit file for you.
Yes, we do.
We're calling this one Blob Rain and a Ghost Story.
Yes.
And we've got a ghost story from one of you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've held on to this ghost story for several weeks.
Yeah.
And we are actually cruising into Witchtober, which starts next week.
Yep.
And I figured I would wrap up the month of September with something, I don't know, kooky and fun and a listener story.
A little spoopy.
Yeah.
All right, let's open up this weird as fuck and kind of nasty dipshit file.
So I started the morning with a polished script for you guys, and then I just kind of wanted to tighten up some of the detail in one of the stories I was going to tell. So I dug into a bit of research that I had saved for later, and I stumbled across a story that I had to share. I scrapped the whole freaking script, and I started over at 6:30 this morning.
You're weird.
I know, but this, so the following story that I have for you is what I found, and I know you're going to be fascinated by this. So, the state of Washington in the Pacific Northwest
is a weird place.
Is infamous for its wet weather, like rain falling an average of 150 days a year.
That's the west side.
Yeah, not our side. But so in Oakville, Washington, it's a small town around 700 people population, and it's about 43 miles southwest of Seattle. Average rainfall exceeds 3 feet per month from October through April. Okay, that's a lot of rain.
It's God's favorite place to pee.
Are you sure we should build our city here, Jebediah?
I feel as if it is providence.
Well, it hasn't stopped raining for months.
I feel as if the Lord takes special care to notice this place. Meanwhile, up in heaven, my Lord God.
Oh, hello, Atlas.
What are you doing there?
Oh, I'm pissing on Washington State.
I see.
Yeah, they like it.
With the driest months typically being July and August.
For like a day.
However, the summer of 1994 was different, for in August that year, the constant cloud cover hovering over Oakville brought not rain, but a scene straight out of The Blob or Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Look like spooge.
Hey, Charlie, how's it going?
Oh, things are really good. How are you?
Well, Charlie, there's a substance that appears to be ejaculate all over my car.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I feel like that's not ideal.
Relentless sheets of a strange jelly-like whitish substance fell from the clouds and coated every surface, killed dozens of animals, and made anyone who came into contact with it violently ill. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the bizarre substance evaporated into thin air, leaving a mystery that endures to this day.
Somebody should have used a sock, and then we could have tested.
Oh, God!
I don't know. It sounds like that to me.
The Oakville incident began around 3 a.m. on August 7th, 1994, as tiny blobs of gelatinous material began falling from the sky.
My Lord, what are you doing now?
Oh, hey, Atlas. I'll be out in a minute.
Amongst the first to witness the strange phenomena was police officer David Lacey, then on patrol with a colleague. Quote, "We turned our windshield wipers on, and it just started smearing to the point where we could almost not see. Ew. And we both looked at each other and said, well, geez, this isn't right. I mean, we're basically out in the middle of nowhere. Where did this come from?"
Alien.
The substance was very mushy.
Alien
It's almost as if you had Jell-O in your hands and you could pretty much squish it through your fingers. We did have some bells go off in our heads and basically said, this isn't right. This isn't normal. End quote.
All the guys in the world were like, this is nasty. All the women are like, yeah, whatever. Shit don't faze us.
Meanwhile, residents all over the Oakville area began reporting the same strange substance falling on their properties. Among these was Dottie Hearn, who owned a farm on the outskirts of town. As her daughter, Sunny Barcliffe, later recalled, it looked like hail lying on top of the firewood box and everywhere else. So I just went over and touched it, and it wasn't hail, it was a jelly-like material. No color at all, and about the size of grains of rice. It was literally everywhere, on the grass, on the foliage, on a truck window, end quote. In all, the blobs fell over an area of nearly 50 square miles in and around Oakville, but while residents were confused by the phenomena, few were overly concerned. That is, until the sickness began.
You got to get on with the sickness.
That's where my brain went to.
I can't help it.
Later in the afternoon on August 7th, Officer Lacey suddenly fell seriously ill. Quote, I was at the point where I could hardly breathe. I started to put together the possibility that whatever the substance was, it made me violently sick, like I never had been before, to the point where it just totally shut me down, end quote.
It'll make you think twice about trying to bust on her face, huh?
Oh,
yeah.
Honey.
Sorry. I mean, I'm just sticking up for ladies.
Yikes.
Virtue.
During this time, Dottie Hearn also suddenly fell ill shortly after touching the strange substance with her bare hands. She was found by her daughter after she had fallen to the floor, suffering from severe nausea and vertigo. She was cold, drenched with sweat. Quote, my mom had been vomiting. She had extreme vertigo. She complained that she had difficulty seeing. Her vision was blurring, end quote. Hearn was taken to the hospital where she was initially diagnosed with Meniere's disease, a disorder of the inner ear, but her daughter was skeptical of the diagnosis, later recalling that she had extreme vertigo or dizziness and felt the room was spinning. Those are all symptoms of that disease. However, she also had a fever and other symptoms of infection. She spent 4 days in the hospital, and upon release, quote, I asked Dr. Little what her discharge diagnosis was. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't know, some type of virus, end quote. Dottie did recover completely after she arrived home. Now, it's worth noting that Meniere's disease usually manifests as an ongoing problem, but she never had any of the symptoms again. Quote, for some reason, as we were going out the door, I, meaning her daughter, remembered the weird substance, and I wondered if perhaps it might have some sort of effect on her, if it might have made her sick. So I opted at the moment to take a sample of this weird stuff to the hospital with us, end quote. Dozens of other Oakville residents also reported sudden mysterious illnesses ranging from nausea and vertigo to severe flu-like symptoms. However, in many of these cases, these symptoms lasted for up to 3 months, which is unlike any flu we were aware of at that time. Regular safety precautions did little to stave off the flu-like infection. Both Officer Lacey and Sonny Barclift wore gloves while handling the blobs, but it's worth noting that humans were not the only ones affected. 3 days after the blobs fell, Sonny Barclift's kitten suddenly died.
Well, now I hate the story.
While Dottie Hearn's 2 dogs came down with severe vomiting and diarrhea, the cause of which was never determined. The numerous barn cats and other animals residing on Dottie Hearn's farm also mysteriously vanished, while frogs, ravens, and other wild animals were found dead near clumps of the blobs with green slime dripping from their mouths.
All the animals that survived were like, let's get the fuck out of here.
They're like, let's head out.
This isn't normal. Something's happening from the sky that's not normal. Let's roll.
Local farmers even reported larger animals like cows and horses falling seriously ill after coming into contact with this substance. The August 7th downpour was not an isolated incident either. Over the following 3 weeks, the blobs rained down a further 5 times. Each blob fall accompanied by a wave of human and animal illnesses. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the blobs were gone, dissolved into the soil or evaporated into the air, leaving few clues as to the nature of their origin.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I was happy to help you, Secretary, whatever your name is.
The congressman from Washington State would like to speak to you.
Shoot there, sport.
Yeah, my state is being attacked by blobs.
Blobs like in the movies?
Well, they're little fucking blobs.
I see.
They're everywhere. They're a nuisance.
Are you saying I should bomb Washington State?
It's had a good run.
No, Mr. President, no.
You sure about that?
Fuck 'em, I'd do it.
Thankfully, though, Sonny Barclift still had the sample from Dottie Hearn's farm, which she brought to Dr. David Little, her mother's attending physician at McCleary Hospital. While Dr. Little was skeptical that the blobs had anything to do with Dottie's illness, he did agree and sent the sample to the lab for analysis. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. It was here that a lab tech made a surprising discovery.
It was spooge.
The mysterious blobs contained human white blood cells.
What?
Right. Stranger still, all of these cells were missing their nuclei,
Does spooge have a nuclei?
the central organelles that contain the cell's genetic material.
What?
So, completely baffled, Barcliff next took the sample to the Washington State Department of Health laboratories in Seattle, where microbiologist Michael McDowell spread the blobs on a nutrient medium to see if anything would grow.
I wonder if this is some weird, like, Soylent Green kind of thing, but instead of feeding us people, they're like, let's see if we can put people on crops and make it grow. And they were like, nope, didn't work.
Well, the cell culture eventually yielded colonies of 2 bacteria commonly found in the human gut. Neither, however, is known to be harmful to humans or can account for the severe symptoms experienced by residents of Oakville. The next scientist to examine the blobs was Michael Osweiler of the Washington Department of Ecology, who confirmed the McCleary Hospital Lab's findings that the substance contained eukaryotic or nucleus-bearing cells. Tim Davis, a microbiologist at the private firm AmTest Laboratories, came to the same conclusion, though he, like Osweiler, was unable to determine the exact species or origin of the cells.
Aliens.
While modern analysis techniques could theoretically shed more light on the mysterious substance,
Go spooge.
shortly after presenting his report to his supervisor, Michael Osweiler returned to his lab to discover that Sonny Barclay's precious sample had vanished. Right?
Hey, where's the sample?
Oh, what sample? I don't know what you're talking about.
The spunk from heaven, where is it?
Never heard of what you're talking about. That's crazy.
What'd you do with the sky cum?
So I came in, this is a quote, I came in and the material was not where it was supposed to be. I asked management what happened to it.
He ate it.
And the exact words were, do not ask.
Yeah, okay, I gathered you guys around because I'm missing a very important sample.
Yeah, Johnson ate it. Yeah, sorry, dude.
Oh, what do you mean you ate it?
I thought it was yogurt, and it didn't say do not eat on it.
It was in the sample refrigerator.
I need things labeled, dude. Yeah, here's the reason things are labeled.
How are you a scientist?
According to Osweiler, it was the first and only time in his 30 years with the Department of Ecology that a sample under his care had gone missing. So at this point in my research, I gotta tell you, I could hear the X-Files theme music playing in my head.
The aliens came for their
Yes.
spisms.
This was the X-Files. In the absence of hard evidence, speculation as to the origins of the Oakville blobs has run rampant.
Oh, I'm sure.
One early theory voiced by Michael Osweiler was that the blobs were concentrated liquid waste dropped from a commercial airliner. However, the Federal Aviation Authority quickly squashed this theory, pointing out that the airplane toilet waste is dyed deep blue to allow leaks to be easily spotted. Not to mention, this phenomena happened numerous times over a 3-week period. I mean, I'm not sure if the airplanes are just going over this one small, tiny little town and like, yeah, let's drop our shitter's full. You know,
Shitter was full!
It's like one guy, and he's like, fuck this place.
fuck this place
This
in
is
particular.
where I grew up, and I got bullied. Hold on. Drop in the toilet water. Blah.
Yeah, but you can't. It's not that because it's not dyed deep blue.
Right. I don't think they can. I don't know.
Yeah, they're not supposed to do that anyways.
Yeah.
The next popular theory was far more outlandish, attributing the blob's appearance to a U.S. Air Force bombing practice conducted over the Pacific Ocean. Now, according to this theory, these bombing runs obliterated large schools of jellyfish and blasted their pulverized remains into the upper atmosphere from where they rained down onto the Oakville area.
Jellyfish pieces, huh?
Right.
Gather round, chitrons, gather round. Let me tell you the story of the season of the jellyfish rains.
Is this like your story about the cat bombs?
They did put bombs in cats. Also, some of the birds aren't real.
Okay.
While Master Sergeant Thaddeus Hosley, which was a spokesman for McChord Air Force Base, later confirmed that the 354th Fighter Squadron was indeed conducting live bombing practice 7.5 miles off the coast around the time of the incident, this theory fails to explain why the blobs only fell over the Oakville area, or why the blobs were of uniform size, or why the pieces of other marine creatures that would obviously have been blasted were not found on the ground.
Like, that looks like a jellyfish, but I'm
Right.
pretty sure that's a killer whale.
Nor does it explain the mysterious symptoms experienced by those who came in contact with the blobs. The effects of jellyfish stings are considerably different. So despite this, the jellyfish theory proved so popular in that area that the residents of Oaksville discussed actually holding an annual jellyfish festival to commemorate the events of August of 1994.
You got to capitalize on what you capitalize on.
Well, in fact, one local bar even invented a jellyfish cocktail composed of vodka, fruit juice, and Jell-O. But,
I guess own that shit.
While jellyfish were almost certainly not responsible for the Oakville blobs, it's still possible that the U.S. Air Force was.
Yeah.
Now, this brings us to, by far, the darkest theory regarding the incident. In his report to the Washington Department of Ecology, Michael Osweiler stated that under the microscope, the Oakville blobs appeared to be man-made, with tiny cavities seemingly designed to hold and disperse something like bacteria.
Fucking aliens.
Did you release the bacteria displacement sacks?
Yes, Lieutenant Barbeck.
Soon the planet will be ours.
And we will be able to probe assholes that will.
All hail the Human Galactic Asshole Probing Union.
All hail.
Speaking of that, hey there, buddy.
Yeah, I do not have any pants on.
Relax, human. You're about to be anally probed with this machine. We're going deep in there.
That's fine, but can I smoke in here?
Around the time of the blob rain, Oaksville residents reported a noticeable increase in Air Force activity over their town. And in the days leading up to the incident, with Dottie Hearn recalling, quote, "We had a significant amount of military aircraft flying over the home prior to this happening. Almost every day we saw slow-flying bombers and helicopters, all black in color, and we kind of thought it might have come from these," end quote. Reports suggest that the Oakville incident might not have been an accident, and that the town had, in fact, been the target of U.S. Air Force experiments in biological warfare.
Well, shit.
Now, this is not as outlandish as it may sound.
They never do that stuff. What are you talking about?
Hell no. So between 1949 and 1969, the U.S. military sprayed various U.S. cities, including San Francisco, Minneapolis, and St. Louis in New York, with simulated biowarfare agents to determine how vulnerable they were to biological attack. Pretty shitty. These simulated biological agents included chemicals such as zinc, cadmium sulfide, and bacteria such as Bacillus globigii, then thought to be harmless to humans. However, as you may have guessed, these substances turned out to be rather more dangerous than initially believed.
No way.
And are now believed to have caused hundreds of severe illnesses and deaths, but that's a topic for another episode.
Right.
So, without confirmation from the U.S. government, this explanation for the Oakville incident remains little more than a tantalizing conspiracy theory.
Right.
A less exciting, though more likely, theory states that the little blobs were in fact grains of a chemical, sodium polyacrylate, a gelatinous polymer capable of absorbing 800 times its weight in water. Sodium polyacrylate is used in a variety of products. We're real familiar with it. So
Diet soda.
includes disposable diapers, feminine hygiene products, bandages, cool packs. They use it as a thickener in food, drilling fluids, industrial coatings.
Taco Bell.
But it's also used in agriculture. I just got what you said. To help retain moisture in the soil. So according to this theory, polyacrylate particles from a nearby farmer's field were swept up by the wind and carried into the upper atmosphere, where they absorbed water, swelled into gelatinous pellets, and then rained back to the ground. A similar incident occurred in 2012 near Bournemouth in England, lending further credence to this theory. Though in the later case, the polyacrylate particles were already in the soil, and they swelled during a rainstorm, giving the impression that they had fallen from the sky overnight. But as people kind of dug in the soil, you could find it further down. This stuff wasn't resting all over the surfaces of everything. So yet another theory presents that the blobs were from a star jelly. What they call star jelly,
Okay.
a mysterious gelatinous substance that suddenly appears on the ground overnight, and which has appeared in scientific reports and poetry since at least the 17th century.
And when the sky opened up, it rained sperm.
Once believed to have been deposited by passing comets and shooting stars,
Shooting indeed.
star jelly is now thought to be, amongst other things, the remains of amphibian reproductive organs and spawn vomited up by birds and other predators.
Nice.
It's also
Sick-ass
thought to be
birds.
blobs of blue-green algae known as nostoc, or colonies of gelatinous single-celled organisms called slime mold. But these theories fail to account for the strange symptoms experienced by those who came in contact with the Oakville blobs, for one. And two, these are kind of like one-off situations. This isn't widely spread throughout an entire town on top of all the roofs, falling from the sky on, the windshield of police cars and that sort of thing.
Right.
These are just singular items that they find hanging out.
It's so weird.
So the most likely explanation might be the most disappointing. But despite the endless analysis and speculation surrounding the Oakville blobs, no rigorous epidemiological study of the incident has ever been conducted. Supposed human victims of the blobs were never systematically interviewed or examined. The dead animals were never collected or necropsied. Aside from the preliminary examinations of Sonny Barclay's sample conducted by the McCleary Hospital Department of Health and Department of Ecology, no further analysis of the blobs has been performed due to the disappearance of the actual evidence. Thus, the evidence linking the Oakville blobs to the outbreak of severe vertigo and flu-like symptoms is largely circumstantial based on anecdote and hearsay. Furthermore, through countless retellings for news outlets and television programs like The Unsolved Mysteries, key details have been ignored or altered in the interest of telling a good story. For instance, Sonny Barclay's kitten, he was already suffering from severe digestive issues at the time the blobs fell. The kitten's death and that of all of the animals in the area may just have been a complete coincidence.
Absolutely.
We humans are born pattern seekers, and the close proximity between the blobs falling and the outbreak of strange illnesses may very well have led Oakville residents to link together two completely unrelated incidents. However, with 30 years having passed since the incident itself, its supposed victims have long since recovered, and the only known sample of the blobs mysteriously disappeared, so we may never know for sure.
Boom, boom, boom.
All we can do is keep watching the skies because the truth is out there.
And it might be really sticky.
Well, that shit was weird. Let's find out what our dipshits think about it.
Well, it sounds like nature is gross.
Yeah, it does. It's a gross story.
It is gross. And it was in Washington, and Washington is just a weird place.
Yeah, but we have a lot.
Things happen here.
We do have a lot of weird shit happening here.
It's like the New Zealand, although it's not an island nation. It seems we have mountains, we have snow, we have deserts, we have fucking all of the things happen here. And so we have we have hippies and we have fucking rich guys. And that's how it works. It's very strange. But I guess a lot of places are like that. But Washington is it's the strangest state.
It is.
But anyway, of course it happened here. And it sounds like some sort of manufacturing thing, like a chemical process.
Yeah.
That a company was doing.
Well, yeah, actually.
Or a natural phenomenon that's just rare.
It sounds like a chemical process a company was doing. However, it went through the lab and was proven to be biological.
I know, but I want to see how that was done. Like, was it tainted in some way? We have one sample. Right? That's what we're going off of.
Well, it's...
How well did they collect it?
Well, she wore gloves when she collected it because she was afraid that whatever got her mom sick was going to get her sick.
That makes sense.
So she did wear gloves.
But a lot of contamination can happen, especially if you're not trained. That's what I think. It's like, fuck.
I know, but I don't want to,
We want 20 samples. We want 1,000 samples.
I don't want to question the Washington State Department of Ecology and their lab equipment.
Right. But again, did they say it could have been contaminated? We don't
know. It was never mentioned. No.
Okay. Well, fuck.
No, the fact that human cells with the missing nuclei, that was kind of interesting.
That is fucking nuts.
It was fucking weird.
So it's like it automatically goes to some MK Ultra thing where you're like,
right.
Okay,
now who
we don't
knows?
Trust these cunts. They don't like us. They obviously don't like us. I'm talking about politicians and bureaucrats. They could give two fucks about numbers of people. So it's like, they pick a town somewhere.
It wouldn't surprise. They did it to me. I was a kid.
Right.
I remember I was in like the first or second grade, and I went out on the playground. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what year this was, like 1979, 1980, maybe. I don't really remember.
They MK Ultra'd your ass?
No, they covered us. They sprayed the Bay Area. I was living in San Jose at the time, and helicopters would go overhead. And I remember as a child being on the playground feeling this weird, it felt like rain. If anybody has stood underneath a tree that has an aphid problem and you feel the aphid dew hitting you.
Which is pee.
Yeah, it's aphid piss is what it is. Yeah. But that's what it felt like, even though I wasn't anywhere near the trees. The weird thing was, this happened a few times, and I noticed like this weird honey-colored speckles all over everything. It was just really strange. And my mom, she's brushing out my hair for me, and she's saying, "What is in your hair?" Because it was sticky, so it was sticking all my hair together.
What do you do?
Stay away from the trees.
Right.
Come to find out, I'm sure a lot more happened. I was so young. A lot more probably happened, but eventually the public became aware of what they were doing, and the city or whatever government had to put out notices now when the helicopters were going to go overhead and spray what's called malathion. And this malathion has been proven to be very, very, very bad for people.
It's not good for us?
No.
What?
No. And I think they were trying
did something bad.
I think they were trying to kill mosquitoes, but I was covered with it
unintended
for like
consequences?
Weeks. I don't even know how long. It was everywhere. I mean, it was sticking my hair together. I remember it smelling funny. But yeah, I got dosed by the government. I was a tiny little thing. My parents did too. It was all over everything.
Yeah, the history is riddled with things like that where people, there's a problem when you don't see human beings as human beings. And we as people just can't get outside of, we just have a few people in our lives, 100, 150, 200 people that we know of and are 3D characters. And that's why government's kind of weird, because they're looking at these big numbers and they're like, what's 3,000 farmers in fucking Wisconsin? Who cares? Fucking drop it there. See what happens.
Right.
And it's just, that's the
Or 700 people in Oakville.
And they're probably like, and look at them. I like what they did. They're like, let's have a jellyfish day.
I know.
It's like, this made us all sick and we don't know what's going on and nobody's shooting us straight.
Right.
But let's fucking have a sense of humor about it.
Maybe I should have a aphid piss day. We can make aphid piss drinks the color of honey.
That shit, I'm allergic to that shit.
I know.
When we moved to California, it was
you were so allergic to
this
aphid
shit. It's like, it feels like it's raining, but it's sticky. And
I'll never forget. I looked at you and smiled and said, "Yeah, you're being pissed on."
Yeah, I was
it's
like,
aphid piss.
What? That's a lot of aphids.
Yeah, it's like, look up, see the willow? It's covered with aphids.
Nature's just laughing at us all the time. They're like, they don't know what the fuck's going on at all.
Right.
They don't know at all. All right. Well, that was interesting. And so there's really no answer.
There is no answer.
There's no follow-up, like somebody actually finally went through and said, look, fuckers, it's this.
No, actually, what I did find was a bunch of stuff online where this substance in many different ways has been found across many states.
Okay. So it must be something natural or a conspiracy
it's a lot
about
of things.
Aliens.
It all looks the same, but it is polyacrylate in some instances. In some instances, it is slime mold. In other instances, it was actually the innards of frogs during breeding season.
Okay.
That the
do you think these are connected, or they just look the same?
They just look the same.
Well, there's the same because nature is gross. Everywhere you go, nature is gross.
Yeah, well, it really is.
So, all right. Well, it's probably not aliens. It's probably not, spooge from the stars.
I doubt it's star jelly.
No, I mean, that's pretty weird. Imagine if space was just filled with icky things.
I know.
It's just like, oh, fuck, space is way gross. Like, stay out of space. It's fucking viscous and
gross out there.
Icky. All right. Well, that was fun. Let's get to some ghost stories, shall we?
Yeah.
Or a ghost story.
Yes.
And it's a listener sent in ghost story. Send those at info@skatcast.com. We love that. All right. Here we go.
Listener correspondence. It's a ghost story.
All right. Before we dig into our ghost story, we are going to talk about Dippy.
Yes.
Our mascot.
Yes.
And that came from Alan Sweeting, who's a sweetie, and we appreciate him a ton. He's from the Garbage Disposal
on Facebook.
And he's out there doing stuff, spreading the scat and other things as well.
Smearing the scat.
Smearing the scat.
Yeah,
that's right. And spreading the suck.
Yeah, smearing the scat.
I have these two worlds that collide and whatnot. But we named him Dippy, and that was suggested by a listener.
Yes, it was.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Is Dippy.
Dippy is his name.
And he's going to hang out with us when we record this, but also when we go outside of here.
We got all kinds of fun stuff planned for Dippy.
He's going to road trip with us, so thanks again, Alan, for that, and for all the stuff that you do. And for all of you guys online, not just our trusted turd triad, they are working hard, obviously, but we have a ton of you guys that I would consider the trusted turd council that are out there just smearing the scat?
Smearing.
That's so gross.
I know.
We're a really gross company.
Smear the scat.
Monique is such an elegant person, and it's so funny to have her in this world. Welcome to the poop.
Well, thanks.
You married when you married me all these years ago.
I know.
Did you assume that there was going to be
I kind of had an
poop
idea.
cast?
No, but I knew something weird was going to happen.
Okay. Well, that's fair. All your friends were like,
they're like, why?
This is like rolling a lot of weird dice.
Yeah.
Dice that don't work out weird. Anyway, all right. So Dippy and Ellen, thank you.
Yes.
We're looking at Dippy right now.
I love him.
Thanks, Dippy.
He's so cute.
Yep. All right, now let's talk some ghosts.
Yeah, so we have a story that was actually sent in, I think it was at the beginning of August, I think. And I don't know if she wants me to use her name or not, so I won't. But this listener sent in a story that I found really fascinating. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just read it as she sent it, but it's very interesting. And we had actually done a call to action and asked for your ghost stories. Yep. So this is one of the ones that was sent in, and I want to share it.
Yep, let's do it.
Hello, Mr. Scriptkeeper and Mrs. Scriptkeeper.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm writing in today as a follow-up to your request from the Dipshit Files last episode on ghost stories. I've sent this story into Lindsay for Scared to Death, but it hasn't been read yet. And, who knows? It may have been by now.
It's probably in one of these books by now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it can take a while since they get a lot on that show.
They do.
You guys had asked for it, so here you go.
Hell yeah, we get much less.
I know. I live in Maine. Yes, I know, out in the middle of nowhere. And at the time, I lived in a small town known as Lebanon with my mom. I grew up there, went to school for all 12 years there and everything. Our house is very old, 1800s old.
Oh, Monique would love that.
Oh, I love those houses. It was one of 4 founding houses of the town, and we even have an old graveyard in our backyard.
What the hell?
Yeah, creepy as hell.
Tight. Have all the Halloween parties the whole year.
No kidding. This house has some history, and I couldn't find out too much on my own. All I was able to find out is what my stepdad knows, which is part of the house burnt down at one point. No one died in that fire, and that part of the house was also used as some sort of clinic. When digging our vegetable garden, we dug up some old foundation, and I also found an old medicine bottle tool. That was really cool. So I think it's kind of fair to say that, yeah, we have some unexplained experiences in this house, or at least I have. We've always had cats, and they always react to nothing when in the house, meaning they could be fast asleep on my lap or somewhere, and then out of nowhere shoot awake and stare at nothing.
Cats are little freaks in the head, though.
Yeah, they are.
Who knows what the fuck's going on in a cat's head?
Weird. Dude, what is the cat staring at? I don't know. What the fuck is it staring at? It's tripping me out, dude. Dude, what is it staring at? I have no idea. Dude, I'm fucking scared, dude. Me too, dude.
No noise happened. Nothing that I could see touched them.
Right.
So that would happen quite a bit. But my first really scary experience was when I was home alone. My mom was at work, and so was my stepdad. He has his own heating business, so he's on call. I just finished eating my lunch, and I went to put the dishes in the sink. I got halfway back across the kitchen when the fork I had just put in the sink came flying across the kitchen at me.
Shit biscuits.
Like it was thrown. It had so much force that it fell on the floor, didn't hit me, thankfully, and skidded the rest of the way across the floor under the table. I'll attach photos at the end of this email to see how impossible that would be, even if it was just to fall off the counter. This was my first real terrifying experience with that being. Now, the next few experiences happened more recently, right before I moved out. They happened in consecutive days. I work second shift, so I go into work around 2:30 and then get off at 11. And I would get home with travel around 11:30 to 12 o'clock, depending on the weather. We have 3 cats. One is mine, Aurora, and one is my mom's, Bella, and the third is my stepdad's, and his name is Spooky.
And they all hate each other. 'Cause that's
Right,
how cats
that's
roll.
how cats are.
Yeah.
Now, for this, it's important to note that most of the time, Aurora and Bella tolerate each other. But Aurora doesn't particularly like either Bella or Spooky.
Boom.
Yeah. Spooky also never comes upstairs because of Aurora, but both Aurora and Bella would always sleep with me. So it's pretty routine for me to come home from work, go upstairs to my room. It's also important to note that my room is upstairs, and put food in the food dish, check the water to make sure they have some. This night, they didn't have any water, so I had to go downstairs to the kitchen to get a jug of water to fill the dish. While I was downstairs, something happened to freak out both Bella and Aurora. I know this because I was going back upstairs, and they were both hissing, fur puffed out, and running down the stairs at full force. They were not fighting with each other. This hissing is also not normal for Bella. In the last 4 years we've had her, I've never been able to get the cat to hiss ever.
Okay.
Now, if you also remember, I said both Bella and Aurora would sleep with me every night. I couldn't get either cat to come back into my room. I even went as far as to pick them up and bring them in, and they'd freak out at the threshold of my door of my room. Out of character for both cats. I went and lay down on my bed and realized at this point that my hand hurt and stung. I looked down and had a scratch on my hand. 3 scratch marks to be exact. Neither cat scratched me. They do not use their claws or scratch. Nor did I do anything that would make that scratch mark either. The cats did not sleep with me for the rest of the week, and it took them a month to come back in my room.
Because they sensed the evil.
Well, then,
not of you, because of the evil.
So the next day, I was in my room sitting there watching TV. I have an Alexa in my room, and Alexa just started talking randomly. Nothing was said that was close to Alexa. I didn't say the word Alexa.
But it just turned on and did shit.
And now everyone listening, their Alexas are going off right now.
Because you said Alexa.
There was no reason for her to come on and start talking.
Right.
Well, and even less of a reason for her to say that she was going to play this song. So I have a hard time listening to this song because it was my ex-boyfriend's and my song. This boyfriend passed away 5 years before in a car accident. And that's the song that Alexa played.
Randomly, it played that.
Yikes.
I see. That would feel pretty.
It is kind of creepy,
personal
isn't it?
And strange, yeah.
Well, either way, even if you guys believe me or not, this is my story of my childhood house and some unexplained things I've had happen. I've also had some videos with orbs floating by and have had some photos with orbs in them. I can't find them anymore because they got lost in transfers of computers. Oh, that's a bummer. Those would be cool to see.
I lost a video where I have this little Drachnal dog where he's picked up above a pool and he thinks he's swimming, but he's above the pool. Cutest thing in the world. Would have got 1 million views. Lost it in a transfer. I feel the same way.
Was he haunted?
No.
Were there orbs in that video?
I mean, Drachnal's probably haunting someone with their snossages. He's probably trying to pick up snossages off the ground. I'm sorry.
That's right. I hope you guys enjoy this story. We did.
We did, yeah. Thank you for writing to us.
Hail Nimrod. Praise Lucifina. 3 out of 5 stars. I love you guys.
Right back at you.
I'll listen to you guys in the present while it feels like the future for you. Stay spoopy.
We're trying to stay spoopy. It's coming to October time.
Yes.
Thank you. I think the lesson here is have cats, but don't have cats that hate each other, so have a cat. That's what I learned.
I don't know, man. I've lived in some pretty creepy houses myself. I say that while we're living in a creepy house.
Yeah, we do have a creepy house.
We have a beautiful home. I love our house.
Me too.
But there is definitely some unexplained stuff going on in this house pretty consistently.
There's 5 or 6 secret rooms that we know of, and there's 1 or 2 that we think that there's more.
Right.
That lead to more things. This house is unexplored.
Yeah.
Much like the ocean.
We actually have in one part of our house we have a fireplace that existed at one time, and I know it's still there, but they walled it up.
Right. We have 2 chimneys, but then one fireplace.
One fireplace, exactly.
There's all sorts of little spaces.
There's little nooks and crannies.
These old school homes were cool that way. I'm waiting for I wish there was a bookshelf that.
I know.
It's just missing.
Just
that.
a wall.
But we have one in our bathroom. We have one. We have all over the place.
All kinds of creepy.
I'm not going to
spaces.
tell you where we have things.
But we have had some really, really weird experiences in this house. Some of them pretty intense. At one point, I was in the bathroom and I was washing my hands. It was evening. And Zach was in the living room. He's only like 20 feet from me, if that. And a picture flew off the wall in the bathroom, kind of above me a little bit and in front of me. Anyways, his picture literally flew off the wall and smacked me in the head and landed in the sink.
Yeah.
And
I could hear it was loud as fuck.
I'm sure I screamed and maybe cursed, but there was no reason. The nail was still there. It came up off the nail. So it was an interesting thing because the picture itself had a screw-in hook on the top part of the picture. It wasn't one that mounted on the back. So you had to actually hook it over, hook this little hook thing over the nail. So there's really no way that it was going to come off the wall unless it was hit or pushed and it was also
some loud stereos around. I don't even think maybe the guy earlier he could have done that, but not with the force of it because it smacked it, didn't it?
No, it hit me in the face.
Yeah, it was like fucking boom,
and it was above me. I mean, I had a hard time. Reaching it. I have to go out of my way to reach this picture. There was no reason. There's no explanation. Wasn't music, and I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Because we would have known that it was music.
It wasn't. Yeah.
And plus, it had to lift it up and off a hook.
I feel like squirrels were involved.
Did you?
Cunts. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Squirrels can do some. I mean, they're crafty.
Well, that's just one experience that we've had in this house.
I like all our ghost experiences in the house because I like our house.
Me too.
So therefore, I think our ghosts are kick-ass. If we have ghosts, which I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure we do.
I like the vibe of our house.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's only one that I don't get along with perfectly, and he's happened to be the one that is down in my studio.
Right.
And we get along fantastic as long as I'm out of there by 10 p.m.
Our ghost has a curfew.
Yeah, he does.
Get the fuck out.
Whatever it is. Yeah, it's
don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
There's sometimes I can go down there and it's okay as long as I'm not down there for too long. But if I'm working and I get lost in my work and stuff,
get the fuck out.
I know it's 10 o'clock when I'm deep in work, totally thinking about what I'm doing, just absorbed, and all of a sudden I'm immediately acutely aware of my space. Where it's like all of a sudden I'm just snapped out of my work and it's like, okay. Gotta go.
That's fun. Well, thank you for sending us your letters. We'll read more in the future, too, for sure. info@skatcast.com if you want to send more ghost stories, or if you'd like to send any kind of stories that are in the oddities world. We're definitely interested in hearing the weird shit that goes on in your lives.
Yeah, send us some ghost stories if you can, and we'll try and pop those in during the month of October.
We're going to have fun in Scatcast land during the month of October. At least that's the goal.
I think so.
I think we'll do our best. All right, big thank you to Bodie, our quartermaster.
Yes.
Doing all the research he's doing. He didn't do it this time, but we've got stories in October that he's up to. Thank you to the rest of the Trusted Turd Triad.
Yes.
The T3. That's Chris, our Dookie Slayer in Discord. And then we have, of course, Don, the Shitbox Wizard in Facebook. The Shitbox, SH, Kitty Butthole T box. And you'll find us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. And thank you to everyone that's populating those places.
Right.
We appreciate that.
Such a fun place. Both of them.
Yeah, we're having a fun time doing this, and it sounds like you guys are having fun with us. Cartoons are coming. I feel it. Like the Ice Walls might have brought us some cartoonage coming. We'll at least get somewhat closer. So,
yeah.
Anyway, but thank you to everyone listening. info@scatcast.com, scatcast.com for more episodes and all the bonus crap. Patreon.com/scatcast for more bonus crap.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
Throw a coin to your witcher. We'd appreciate it for sure.
Or just to your witch.
To your witch. And whatever the fuck I am. I am kind of a bard. I'd be singing the song. I'd be singing Toss a Coin to the Witch
What
lady.
makes you think that it was me that I said witch? Could have been you.
Weird. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk at you in the future.
And it'll seem like the present.
Bye.
Bye.
Dipshit Files.
Bing bong.
Poop sound.
Poop sound.